NFL prediction time. It's NFL prediction time. It's NFL prediction time. And I hope you're here along for the ride, because it's White Nux, also known as Sean, and the other part of S in SJS, it's Skyler. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, geez, that's a lot of enthusiasm.
Oh, I'm ready.
Today?
Hey, I am ready like Freddy. As it's Larry, but in any case, we have got our, what is this, the third time we've done this now? Third or fourth?
I believe third time, yeah.
I think it's the third time, but welcome everybody to Super Jam Session. It is Skyler and Sean's NFL predictions 2025 for the 2025 season, and to be fair, Skyler, you and I have certainly made attempts at getting these right, but I don't think either of us have gotten tremendous hit rates on actually predicting these correctly.
Well, the problem is that the NFL is both very predictable and unpredictable at the same time.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true.
It's hard to forecast injuries, future happenings, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, as much as you know who the good teams are and who the bad teams are, the mushy middle makes everything unpredictable and fun, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes for very interesting seasons. And then the playoffs happen and everybody cries about it being rigged until the team that they think it's rigged in favor of loses, and then everybody quiets and calms down and we all go back to liking the NFL again. And so here we are once again.
No, Sean, here's the thing. In talking about last season, we kept saying, please, anybody but the Chiefs. And then Philadelphia won it and we're just like, God damn it.
No,
like
not you.
When Roman Reigns was going to win the Royal Rumble and then Randy Orton won it, and like, okay, at least it's not Roman Reigns.
Yeah, it's either that or it's when Sheamus cashed in his money in the bank on Roman at Survivor Series 2014. You know, and everyone's like, all right, I guess we'll just deal with Roman Reigns getting the belt. And then the Eagles got the belt, and it was like, oh, Sheamus. Okay, I guess. and it was very lukewarm, but no, you know what? It doesn't matter now. We're not going to knock Philadelphia yet, and I don't know if we're actually gonna. Yeah, well, we'll see what happens here, because we've got a lot of teams to talk about, so let's get right into it. Let's start. Actually, would you like to start in the AFC or the NFC this year, Sky? I'll leave it up to you.
I think last year we started with the AFC, and it's only right that we start with the NFC, and particularly the defending champions.
Okay, let's get right into it. All right, even though we teased that we were going to talk about the Eagles later, let's do it right here, right now. Let's start with the NFC East, and because you brought them up, Sky, let's talk the Philadelphia Eagles. What do you think that they're going to do this year in their record, and what record did they have last year? Because I know you have that stat.
So they were 14-3 last year, 8-1 at home, 6-2 away.
It's pretty good.
The Eagles, they're good, and they're going to stay good. It's the only thing is that now they have some competition in their division. It's not by a lot of teams, but it's at least one team. And it made for a very good conference final. I think this year probably it may be the same two teams. Now, there's another couple NFC teams that are going to be like contenders, quote unquote.
True.
But I think this is kind of like the Eagles' conference to lose, because they're head and shoulders among one of the best teams. The thing with the Eagles specifically is that their defense in particular, I mean, you draft the Georgia Bulldogs that won the national championship, and look what happens. They won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this team is so well built. I really got to give credit to, Howie Roseman is the general manager. He put this thing together very well. And, you know, I still think the coach, that Sirianni's a goof, but, you know, he's a goof that's getting results. And I fully expect the Eagles to completely repeat this year. I mean, that's where I'm at here, is I really do think that because they didn't really lose much in the offseason. They kept pretty much everybody that they needed to. All of the important players, they're still pretty healthy. So long as Saquon can stay healthy for 2 consecutive seasons, which he hasn't really been able to do. But if he's able to do that, and there's enough options for Jalen Hurts that even though he doesn't get his flowers for being a top quarterback, he doesn't necessarily need to be a top quarterback with the way that the rest of the team is built offensively. I agree that defensively...
Well, the thing is that Jalen Hurts is kind of a system quarterback, but I mean, what a system to be in.
It's a great system.
A.J. Brown, you got Devontae Smith, you got Saquon Barkley, you have a defense that you can lean on. I mean, 14-3 was their record last year. I could easily see them repeat that record.
Yeah, that's actually what I have for them. I have 14-3. I think they're going to do that. I hope that one of those losses is to Tampa, but that's just because of my own personal bias, and because Tampa did it last year. Technically, one of the 3 teams that they lost to was Tampa Bay. Even though Tampa didn't get the chance to play them again in the playoffs, and we all know how that went, and that's nobody's fault but Baker's and Todd Bowles, but we will get to them. But my laydown is, if in fact, repeating at 14-3.
Right, and then the team after them is the Washington Commanders.
Are you also saying 14-3, Sky?
Huh?
Are you also saying 14-3 for the Eagles? Did you give us your number?
14-3.
Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that we were on the same page. Now we're on to the Commanders.
Right, who went 12-5 last year. What do you think of the Commanders?
Well, here's the thing. Beyond anybody else on that team, I'm a huge fan of Dan Quinn. I've always been a fan of Dan Quinn. I haven't necessarily loved the teams that he's been on, namely the Falcons, but it's no coincidence that Dan Quinn was the head coach of the Falcons when they went to the Super Bowl, and I mean, we all know how that ended, but he was a big part of why the defense, when the Cowboys were doing anything on defense, was lighting things up. I think that it was a great hire by the Commanders. The fact that they finally got this Terry McLaurin deal done, which I knew they were gonna. They milked the hell out of that, and I knew that's what they were doing. And it was, once he re-signed, I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought. They're not going to get rid of that target for Jaden Daniels because of that. I think that they just stirred the pot a little bit, maybe more than they needed to, but in any case, I don't see this team really falling that much, but there is still the question, and there's always this debate, and sometimes it's very much proven to be true. Will we see Jaden Daniels' sophomore slump? And I personally don't think it's going to be like drastic, but I think that they're going to need to pick up in other areas to make up for it. But they've got a really good set of teams. Although, was it the Commanders that just got rid of their running back?
I mean, we'll talk about that when we get to the 49ers, but to be honest, he was kind of excess goods.
Well, yeah, because they drafted a rookie that they're like, this is the guy
that they can use.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they just drafted a kid who they really like.
Yeah, one of the things I will point out when it comes to like certain teams is that a lot of it really depends on the schedule that they get. The Commanders do have the, I guess, unfortunateness of having to play the NFC North, which we'll talk about that in a second, but I think that's the hardest division in football right now.
It's tough. It's definitely tough and stiff, which is good. But I really think it's between 3 and then 1 is kind of there. But we'll get to that when we get to that. But in any event, it is a difficult schedule. But I don't think that this Commanders team is gonna shy away from it unless something collapses or somebody major goes down. Or they get the injury bug and they just start losing people left and right and they have to start playing backups everywhere. I still see this team as a playoff team. I don't think they've lost enough for me to say that this team is going to go. But I am going to drop them a game and give them 11-6.
See, the thing is that even with the tougher schedule, they still have 2/4 of a really weak division. And I think they pick up a win. I think they go 13-4.
Wow. So that would be the NFC East basically doing what the NFC North did last year, which would be quite impressive.
No.
But but they're not all going to get embarrassing losses as a result of all of that. Because none of the NFC North teams won their matchups.
That's the thing. Let's talk about these next 2 teams.
Well, then we get let's go with the Dallas Cowboys. Let's start with them.
Yep, the 7-10 Dallas Cowboys.
Is that what you're giving them as well?
No, that was the record last year.
That was the record last year, and that was without Dak because he went down with an injury. And Dak being back, well, Skyler, I just don't know if that's going to make a whole hootenanny hell of a difference.
Oh, hold on. We're burying the lead here, okay?
Yes.
Jerry Jones is an idiot. He's a senile old man idiot who has no idea what the hell he's doing.
Thank you for being a CIW referee, by the way. Continue, Skyler.
This is now the second big generational in his prime player that the Dallas franchise has traded. We got Luka Doncic from the Mavericks, and now we have Micah Parsons from the Cowboys. What are you thinking, Dallas sports executives?
Yeah, to be fair, the Dallas one, the Mavericks one wasn't on Jerry, but this.
But the point is that it's that same cocky, everything's bigger in Texas. Look how big I am. I can do whatever I want. My generational talent's not going to get paid what he should be paid.
Well, plus Jerry likes stirring the pot. And I think that somebody finally stood up to Jerry's BS but I'm not trying to defend Jerry here, but there was a report that I just saw that it is possible that Micah Parsons has a back injury and that he is going to have to take a few shots of the sweet stuff in order to play in the opener this weekend, which is very interesting to see whether Jerry and them knew about that. But even still, but it's interesting though, because you look at how back injuries have crippled players over the years. Remember how good Cam Newton was until he's got his back hurt?
Yeah.
And then he was never the same player. Carson Wentz brought the Eagles to like an 11-5 record or whatever it was, and then hurt his back and was never the same. And so I wonder if maybe Dallas knew something we didn't in that respect. But even still, to give up somebody, he's 26. What do you think his recovery rate's going to be? Probably pretty good. I don't know. I don't know what Dallas was thinking. I don't know what Jerry's thinking anymore, but he wants to make it all about Jerry. And so the team suffers for Jerry's thought that he's doing the greatest job ever.
Again, Jerry Jones is living his midlife crisis, except he's in his 80s.
He's 83 or whatever it is. And I sadly think that Cowboys fans are going to pay for this. In a bad way here. I really do think Dallas is not going to be very good. And
I mean, they were 7-10 last year. What do you think the record's going to be without Micah Parsons?
Well, I mean, they've got a good offense, so I mean, if they can light it up, they might be able to stop the bleeding. But man, if their defense is sweet cheese, and also it's sweet cheese, not Swiss cheese, but sweet cheese. That's even softer. And also, we don't know what Brian Schottenheimer is going to bring to this team. This is a new coach amidst all of this, and a new system that Dak's not familiar with, so who the hell knows what's going to happen. I'm going to be generous to them and say 5-12.
You're very generous. I'm also going 5-12 with the potential they could even lose more because, oh boy, this team could be dumpster poopy bad.
Yeah, this has got the potential of being one of the most short-sighted decisions that Jerry Jones has ever made. And Jerry needs help, man. Not just in a mental capacity, but he needs a general manager. He can't do it all on his own. He just doesn't realize this. And at some point, it's going to come back and slap him in the face. And will this be the year? I'm not sure. This might be their year for Jerry to wake up. But it won't be the year for them winning the Super Bowl. That's for damn sure. And that leaves us with the New York Giants. And this is a fascinating one in my eyes. You might see this a little more black and white than I do, Sky, because I live right next to it and I'm able to see hear some of the scuttlebutt around the area. But what do you think about the New York Football Giants with two coaches, with a coach and a general manager sweating bullets this year and a very, very burnt quarterback under center?
I mean, here's the thing, is that the Giants last year, they went 3-14. They were one of the worst teams in all of football.
It's pretty rough.
So it can only go up from here? ?
I think so, though. I genuinely think so.
I mean, look, maybe you're trying to not get stabbed, and I don't blame you because you live next door to New York Giants fans. This team... Oh, boy. This team has a lot of potential, but that's just it. they have a lot of potential. They drafted a lot. They have a lot of interesting players from the draft.
They've got some
they
good people in that draft.
Smith, huh?
No, they got a lot of good players from that draft. Abdul Carter's looking really good. Jackson Dart, they're letting him sit behind a dingus and Russell Wilson, so at least he's going to get a year of hopefully he'll get a full year of sitting underneath those two to get whatever habits he gets from the two of them.
He's going to start week 7, isn't he?
Well, God, I hope not. I really hope not. I'm hoping that Russell either starts the whole thing or Jameis takes over halfway through and they roll with him just throwing the ball to everybody, no matter what jersey they're wearing. But I will say this, though. Jameis Winston is going to be a hell of a head coach someday. He's got the energy for it. He's got the personality to rally people behind him. And I genuinely think that there's going to be a time when we're going to be talking about Jameis Winston very fondly when it comes to an entertainment aspect, whether that's as a head coach or on one of these ESPN analyst things that they've got going on. But, he's not a bad guy to have on the team. I think they need the morale positive in that room because John Mara himself said, I need to be a hell of a lot happier at the end of next year, talking about this year. And he said that about the end of last year, meaning that Shane and Dable both have they're in the hot seat now. They're right now where the Jets were last year, but I think that they're a little more competent. And they've got better players. Abdul Carter's looking really good. They've got talent. Russell Wilson, as cooked as he is, I'm not saying he's not, but he's going to get them at least a few games out of Russell Wilson. And I don't know if that's going to equate necessarily to a winning season, but I do think this team is going to be sizably better with New York looking in a much more positive direction going forward. The X factor here is the turf at MetLife Stadium going to once again be the undoing of the New York football teams.
And why haven't they just put grass?
I know, I don't get it. That field procures the most injuries in the league by a lot. Just turn it into grass. It's not that hard. I don't get it. I don't get why, with two teams there, why they wouldn't invest in that. I mean, I understand, it's the Jets, but still. You have to wonder if they didn't have that turf, would Aaron Rodgers have actually been able to play the full season that year and not have made one of the funniest debuts in the history of sports?
Well, the Giants went 3-14 last year. What's your prediction?
I'm gonna be generous to them, and I mean that this time instead of being sarcastic like I was with Dallas. I'm gonna give them 8-9, particularly because Dallas is gonna suck. I think that they're going to be better than a lot of people think that they are because they think, it's the Giants and they've just sucked for a while. There's going to be some positive vibes coming out of New York, but it's probably mostly going to be from the blue side, I think.
You are very, very nice.
I am, but I'm also hopeful. And also, my dad was a Giants fan, so I do have some level of built-in bias because I do want the Giants to succeed. And so you're going to hear a couple of audacious takes, let's say, going forward. But go ahead, Sky. What do you got for New York?
You better not say that about the New York Jets.
Oh, no. Oh, no. The Jets have a flat cap on them because they're the Jets. And they will find a way, even if they had the stars align and it looked like they have the perfect team, they will find a way to hit that limiter cap, and that will be the end of their season. But let's get to them when we get to them.
Right, but the thing for me is that the Giants, they have a really bad schedule.
They got a tough schedule.
The NFC North, the teams in the NFC East, and they have to play the AFC West. They have almost no easy games whatsoever. Honestly, 4-13 sounds about right for them.
Now, I'm not saying that isn't entirely possible, Sky. I think that there's a very good chance that that's the case. I'm just hoping it's not the case because I think the last thing that this Giants team needs is another set of overhaul. They just drafted the quarterback they wanted. And then you get the regime out of there and then somebody else comes in and it's just a mess. I really don't want that for the Giants. So, come on, guys. You can do better than that. I believe in you. As tough as it's going to be, this Giants team's going to surprise a lot of people. I think it is. Now let's move on.
Well, they're going to surprise a lot of people either by being good or being bad.
Yeah, that's right. Well, no, if they're bad, they'll just kind of meet expectations. That's the sad thing. You know, the Giants fans will try and work themselves up because, you know, all of the radio and talk radio here every day, they have to find. This is the most, you know, DSW doesn't sell as many flip-flops as talk radio does in New York. But, you know, that's just the nature of the business. But speaking of, let's move on to the North, which is going to be loaded. And let's start with Minnesota. And I say let's start with Minnesota because this team is fascinating. They're starting J.J. McCarthy, who spent a whole year with an ACL injury, sitting. They had Sam Darnold win them, 14 last year?
They were 14-3.
14 last year. You know, Kevin McCarthy's a hell of a coach, you know, or Kevin O'Connell, I'm sorry. Kevin O'Connell is, you know, a hell of a coach. I'm really impressed with him. And I've always been impressed with what Brian Flores has been able to do with defenses. So there's a lot to like about Minnesota. I just don't believe. I'm just skeptical. I know they've got Justin Jefferson. They just signed Adam Thielen to come home for his last hurrah before I'm assuming he retires as a Viking, which he should, by the way. You know, they've got tools, but, you know, I just don't necessarily see them as like the mega threat in this division. And that's not to say that they're not going to be very good. I think they are going to be very good. But I don't know if it's Super Bowl level good. Your thoughts?
Well, then what's your feeling on their record? Like, they went 14-3. They went pretty high last year. What are your thoughts about potentially looking at them as a team as from this year?
Well, it depends on what J.J. McCarthy's able to do. You know, how good is the kid really going to be? You know, because we don't know. We didn't know with Sam Darnold, but Sam Darnold also had, 8 years of experience in 3 or 4 different places? So it's not like he didn't know his way around to have a surprising magical season, or at least for some of it. You know, Minnesota's been known to do that, a la Case Keenum. So it's a weird situation. But once they made the switch for Kirk Cousins, they couldn't figure it out. Is that going to be the case for J.J. McCarthy? I don't know. It's just not a guarantee. I'm giving them 10-7. They're still
like
going to be good.
Be some regression because Sam Darnold, while he has some problems, he is a starting quarterback. J.J. McCarthy's a mystery box. We don't know what he's going to be.
Yeah. And it's why I'm being favorable by saying, yeah, they're going to get 10 because J.J. McCarthy is still going to be under the tutelage of Kevin O'Connell, which worked very well for Sam. But there was also many years of experience with a lot of different scenarios underneath that. We don't know what J.J. McCarthy has been exposed to and what he's capable of yet.
Right. I think as far as the Vikings go, Justin Jefferson, if he's not one of the best wide receivers in the game, he's top 3.
Oh, agreed.
Basically a battle between like him, Jamar Chase, and maybe like A.J. Brown. Like at that point, it's just your preference. But Justin Jefferson, one of the best wide receivers. They have a very good defense. They have a very good system. It's just what is going to happen with a quarterback who is who basically is a rookie. This is basically his rookie year because of that ACL he had last year, which we'll see what happens with that. I think your answer is right. It is going to be somewhat of a regression because we just don't know. He will probably make rookie mistakes and just things will happen out there that probably shouldn't. 10-7 sounds right for the Vikings in terms of what their record should be.
And, you know, it's going to be an interesting situation as far as who gets what playoff spots. Especially when you hear the hot take I've got coming up for the NFC South. But we're going to get there. 10-7 for the Vikings. Let's now move on to the team that's been in the news the most lately, the Green Bay Packers. And as the Packers are looking to have themselves a Super Bowl push season, because their offseason has definitely made it seem like that's what they're aiming for, and I bet they could make it if they tried hard enough. But what was their record last year, Sky?
11-6. And if you may allow me for a second.
Yes, please. Please, the floor is yours.
Think about this with the Packers.
Thinking.
In the draft, they drafted a wide receiver in the first round. For the first time in 22 years, they drafted a wide receiver in the first round. And Matthew Golden, I mean, the name works perfectly for the Packers when you think about it.
Yeah, it does. It does. They always got guys with names like that.
I mean, that is a person who has potential as the number one weapon for Jordan Love, whether or not that becomes a thing or not. And the Packers already had a pretty solid offense and a working defense. It wasn't the best defense, but it was a working defense. But then you add arguably one of the best defensive players in the game in Micah Parsons for an aging Kenny Clark, who is a starter, but not a high-end starter, and 2 first-round picks that will probably be in the mid-20s at best. The Packers never make big trades like this. They never did draft picks like this.
Yeah, this was a ballsy offseason from the Packers. Agreed.
Like the Green Bay Packers, this regime I have to give a lot of credit to, because the Packers of the past, they used to be, that hometown team, the small team that is just, working on things that are hometown. They'll build their players from the draft up. They'll do what they can. This is a thing where Brian Gewirtz, I don't know his name, Brian Gnix.
It's not Brian Gewirtz. Brian Gewirtz is the Rock's toady. It's definitely not Brian Gewirtz.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
He's the Brian Gewirtz, but go ahead, Sky.
But the thing is that we're looking at the Packers in a new light, and this is different, exciting. This is a Packers team that has the potential to be one of the best, maybe in football. I mean, they're definitely putting themselves in a conversation to be amongst the best teams. They went 11-6 last year. I can easily see them go even better. I'm giving them the 14-3. I think they're going to be right up there with some of these teams in the NFC. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're one of the 2 teams that can challenge the Eagles.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. Those 2 teams always play hard against each other. That's a definitive tough matchup between those 2 every time they play. Hopefully they won't have to do it in Brazil again, but that's what that is.
I mean, November 10th is the Eagles going to Green Bay. That may be your NFC Championship preview.
It could be. It definitely could be. I think Green Bay right now, it's tough to call some of these teams, because I think the Packers are very good, but this division is going to be tough, and even games that you think are going to be shoo-ins aren't shoo-ins. But with Micah Parsons, I actually bumped up my number by 1. Just by 1 game. We'll have to see whether that back injury ends up being more consequential than not. But even without Micah Parsons, this team is kind of scary. So I'm giving them 12-5. And on the idea that they are going to be one of the best teams in the NFC, the way I've got it, they're top 3 up there as far as records are concerned. And then let's move on to a team that will not be in that conversation. The Chicago Bears.
I mean,
what was their record and what do you give them?
They were 5-12 last year. This is the thing, is that because of the fact that they play in such a tough division, if they were in any other really weak division, they would be second or maybe even a division champion, because they have a good roster.
They do.
It's just they're stuck with these teams that they have to play.
And they've got, Ben Johnson now. We'll see how he does as a head coach, which is going to be, and we'll see how Caleb Williams develops, if he develops. And it's really that. I mean, but the weapons around this team, I mean, they've done some great offseason moves over the past several years. They've really built the team around it, but they're kind of in the position that the Raiders are in. doesn't really matter who you bring in because the competition in that division is so high that it's just so painfully difficult to break the glass ceiling, and I don't think their talent is at the same level as the other 3 teams in this division. And unfortunately, I think that means that we're going to see something of a rough first season out of Ben Johnston. My guess here is that they go 6-11. They're going to be better, but not by much.
I mean, it's tough, and you are right. They are stuck in a very tough division, but I think they have a chance to at least improve a little bit. I think they go 7-10.
Okay, I think that's fair. And now we get to the Lions,
who, by the way, had the best record in the entire NFL last year at 15-2. And I'm going to make one more note about them. They're the only team in the NFL last year who won every single one of their away games,
which is quite impressive. And one of their 2 losses was to Tampa Bay. Sorry, I just have to keep bringing it up. But go ahead, Sky.
This is the thing, is that we're in a world where the Detroit Lions are a Super Bowl contender for 3 seasons in a row.
It's nice. It's nice. It's a nice change of pace.
As a person who grew up in the early 2000s and the Lions being a meme,
yeah,
I'm here for it.
Me too. I think that honestly right now, you want to talk about what a team is America's team. The Detroit Lions are America's team at this moment. I think that people, the heart of America is really with the Lions, and I think they want to see the Lions succeed, except for, the Packers, the Vikings, and the Bears. But right now, the Lions have got a lot, but I'm worried, Skyler. When you lose both coordinators, it's hard to recapture the magic.
But the magic is still in Dan Campbell. And I still think Jared Goff is a hell of a quarterback. Does he have some snafus? Sure. Is he kind of derpy? Sure. Does he look like Ryan Gosling? A little bit. And that's just the way the things are in Detroit right now. But, they've got momentum on their side. But I do think that they're going to drop a little bit. Because new coordinators does mean new schemes. These players, but getting Aiden Hutchinson back is going to help a lot. Give me 12-5 as well for Detroit. See, that's the tough thing, is that is a possible record, but I still like this team too much. I think they go 14-3 and they win the division on a tiebreaker. It's going to be close, but I think them and the Packers are the 2 teams that are really going to be at it for this division.
I think that I actually agree with you. Now, we have to kind of backtrack here just a second, because at the end of each division, we should list what our rankings are. So going back to the East, my records were the Eagles win the division at 14-3, the Commanders get 11-6, the Giants at 8-9, and the Cowboys at 5-12.
Right, and then can you read mine off?
I sure can. Skyler had 14-3 for the Eagles in first, the Commanders at 13-4, the Cowboys at 5-12, and the Giants at 4-13. So then, in the North, I have the Lions also winning the division on a tiebreaker at 12-5, the Packers also in second place at 12-5, the Vikings 10-7, and the Bears 6-11.
Right, and I have both the Lions and the Packers at 14-3, but I have the Lions in a tiebreaker. I have the Vikings. See, now I'm kind of flipping back and forth. Do I want to give them 10 wins or 11 wins? But I think 11's fair enough for them. And again, I still like the Bears. It's just they're in a tough division, and 7-10's about right.
So you're switching your Vikings to 11.
Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I'm. Jordan Love and Jared Goff, they're probably the same tier of quarterback. We don't know what J.J. McCarthy is yet. He could be good. He could be bad. Could he be healthy? That's the real question.
Well, that's the truth. So, okay, so Skyler chose 11-6 for the Vikings. We have had a revision. All right, now, the South. Well, let's start with Tampa so we can get my bias out of the way.
who won the division last year at a paltry 10-7.
It's 4 years in a row now they've won it, and to be fair, the win record has gotten better with each passing year. It was 8-9 the first year with Tom Brady, just to put that in perspective.
Yeah. Look. Enjoy your Super Bowl ring. I'm just gonna sit over here for a couple minutes.
Oh no, I didn't enjoy that. I didn't enjoy that season. That 8-9 season was painful. That was rough. Just the fact that everybody else sucked so hard in that division was shocking to me. But at any event, here's the thing about Tampa. They didn't really make tons of moves this year. It was a relatively quiet move for Tampa. As a matter of fact, what they ended up doing was getting that 400-pound chonky chungus of a man, Desmond Watson, tried to get him to lose weight and then booted him because he didn't lose enough weight for their standards. And then drafted Shiloh Sanders, who punched a Bill in the face and expected that he would keep his job even though he was a rookie. He thought he was Aaron Rodgers and he had some kind of clout to where he could just do that and nothing would happen. And then he got waived and surprise Pikachu faced. Like, what? How could this have happened? So, Tampa's been going through it a little bit. But here's the shocking thing to me. I try to be fair now. Now that I've gotten my ring, I try to be fair when it comes to Tampa Bay. I want to believe that this team could be one of the best teams in the NFC. I would love to see that them make the NFC Championship, and I think that if the stars align to some degree, it could happen. However, I have been hearing all around the scuttlebutt of Tampa Bay fans that they think this team is going to the Super Bowl. And I'm sorry. This is still a Todd Bowles head coach-led Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And so long as Todd is consistently making derpy mistakes that cost Tampa Bay games, it's not going to happen. That being said, it's Tampa's division to lose. And I still think they're going to win this division, but I don't really see progression in sight here. Plus, they don't have Tristan Wirfs to start the season. I don't think he's going to start until like week 4. Same with Chris Godwin, who is gone as well. We've got a couple other players, Bucky Irving and all that jazz, but it's going to take a little while to get going. Here's why I brought up earlier, Sky, that Tampa Bay beat the Eagles and the Lions last year. Tampa Bay can beat good teams, but will shit the bed against terrible teams. And it's the most frustrating thing on the planet. And while that's the case, I can't give this team more than the record that they've already had. Give me 10-7 for Tampa Bay. They still win the division. It's going to be closer this year, but until somebody can knock Tampa Bay off, they are their own worst enemy. And this is a 13-4 caliber team that's going to end up 10-7 because of stupid bullshit. Go ahead, Sky.
See, and this is where the bias comes in, where you think they're going to be better than what they are. I don't see it. I see the Buccaneers as a good middle-of-the-road NFL team. I don't see Super Bowl out of them.
No, I don't either.
Honest,
I don't either.
And to be honest, you would be saying this too if they were stuck in the division of death, the NFC North, or if they were stuck in the East having to play with the Eagles or Commanders. They're in Weenie Hut Jr., basically.
Yeah. Hey, I don't mind ruling Weenie Hut Jr., though.
And that's the thing, is that as much as SpongeBob wants to get into the salty spittoon, I don't think he's ready. The Buccaneers, to me, 10-7 was their record last year. I think that may be exactly what they do. They go 10-7.
Yeah.
This is tough because that division is the unpredictable one. That's the one that's going to make us look stupid, to be honest. Because one of these teams is going to have to win this division, and we don't know which one's going to win it.
Well, and I think it's still Tampa's to lose. With the way that the rest of the division is built, I don't see any of the other 3 teams really topping Tampa, which is fine. I just would love if we didn't get to week 13 and have to win all of our remaining games in order to win the division. I don't like doing that. I don't like digging into a hole and then having to pull ourselves out of that hole to get to the playoffs. I would love to actually just feel like we could make the playoffs or get to 8 or 9 wins by week 15 and then not feel as bad or as insecure about the fall. Anyway, it's
and just as a heads up, remember October 12th, 49ers come to town.
That's right. Well, and Tampa Bay notoriously plays poorly against the 49ers, so I fully expect that to go to the 49ers. Although we'll talk about them soon. Let's move on to the Saints.
You mean the Aints?
Yes. Yes, I do. Here's the thing. I have never met a Saints fan I didn't like. I've enjoyed every Saints fan I've ever met. But I hate the Saints with every pore of my body. As a Bucs fan, they are the team that I hate the most. And mostly because it was because of the Saints that gave Tampa Bay its first win after 26 consecutive losses when this team started. This is the 50th year of Tampa Bay's existence, by the way. Happy 50th year of swashbuckling. So it brings me great pleasure to see that the Saints are going to suck. There's no way around it, Skyler. They're gonna suck. No matter what Kellen Moore tries to do, and I actually don't hate Kellen Moore. I don't think he's a terrible coach. I don't know what he's going to be like as a head coach, but he has got very little to work with.
Are you ready for Tyler Shuck Super Senior to be a quarterback?
I don't care. Truth be told, I think that quarterback room is maybe the worst in the league, and that's including the Browns, and that's saying something. It's bad. It's bad, man. I think this team is actually probably either picking first or second. Give me 3-14 for the Saints.
Ooh, and their record last year was not very good. It was 5 wins only.
Yeah, I think they're gonna be worse.
Well, the thing is that, like, you're talking about a team that used to be really, really good when Drew Brees was around, and they had potential, and they won a Super Bowl, and now you just look at them, it's sad.
They're still searching for an identity.
I don't know what that identity is, man.
Neither do they. Neither do they. But
maybe just offer Sean Payton part of ownership and see if he'll come back and fix the team.
I doubt that at this point. I think he's got too much going for him in Denver right now, but we'll get to them.
Right, we'll get to them. The Saints, they are going to be a bad team in football, but they're not going to be the worst team in this division. Having said that, they're still not going to be good. They're going to be 4-13, and you know which team I'm talking about when I say they're going to be competing for the bottom.
Yeah, just wait. I told you there was going to be a hot take here. Just wait. Here come the Falcons. Here's Michael Penix Jr. This is his first real season because they're obviously not attempting anything with Kirk anymore. Is Kirk still even on the team? Did he retire? I don't know.
You don't know and you don't care.
I don't know and I really don't care. I just don't want to lose to them twice like I did last year. And Raheem Morris, I've been through it as a Tampa Bay fan. I don't see it manifesting with this team. Not yet. It's not that they don't have tools. It's not that Michael Penix Jr. can't be good. It's just they don't have an owner or a general manager that is really capable of building this team to a level of competitive within the league as a whole. And their schedule is not going to be the easiest either. Give me 8-9 for the Falcons. I think they're going to be okay, but it's not going to be enough.
Well, that was their record last year, so you think they're going to be exactly the same team?
Yeah, I don't think they move.
The one thing I will say is that they do have Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr. fixing a little bit of their defense. Honestly, given the Weenie Hut Jr.-ness of this division, they're probably your biggest threat, to be honest, because they do have a legitimate passing game somewhat. I mean, Drake London is a good wide receiver. Maybe they're going to finally use Kyle Pitts. I don't know. That's the proverbial question. Is Kyle Pitts going to be used properly? Find out next time.
We're still waiting for an answer 3 to 4 years in.
Exactly. I think the Falcons, they're going to be slightly better. They're going to be challenging you for this division. It's going to be 9-8. They're just barely going to miss the playoffs, but they're getting closer. I'll say this.
Okay. Now, here we go. Carolina Panthers. Sky, I want you to go first on this one because I cannot wait to hear you call bullshit on my take. Go ahead.
You're going to say that the Panthers are going to be good, aren't you?
Go ahead, Skyler. I said you're going first.
Oh, he's going to say the Panthers are going to be good. Okay. They're not going to be good. Look at this roster. Look at this team. Listen, this is one of the worst run franchises in the NFL. If were it not for some of their neighbors down south of Carolina, the Panthers would be one of the worst run franchises in all of football, bar none. 3 wins is generous to them. And that's saying something because they got 5 last year, but 3 wins is generous. They did nothing to get better, in all honesty.
I disagree. Here's the thing. They've built up their line better than I thought they were going to. They got some good tackles in the draft. They put people in positions. They actually had ourselves a pretty decent offseason. This could be the sleeper team this year. You know, there's always one team that kind of shocks everybody by how good they are. And I think it's going to be this team. Bryce Young was looking much better at the end of last year once he was benched and came back after Andy Dalton shat the bed. And that is going to, I think, this team. And here's the thing. Dave Canales is good. He's a good coach. He did a lot for Baker Mayfield when Baker needed quarterback consistency, which he still has not gotten. But that first year, when Baker first came in, he's the one who got Baker to snap into the guy that he is now, and not the guy that he was on Carolina. I believe, if nothing else, in Dave Canales. And I believe that Bryce Young is going to be surprisingly better than people think. They filled in some spots on the defense that a lot of the times what won them games last year was their defense. More is going to come together this year for them than people think. But the question is it going to be a flash in the pan? That's what I think. This is going to be one of those flash in the pan seasons. I don't think it's going to get anywhere, but it's going to shock people how good they are, or I'm going to look like a total asshat. And I don't care either way, because there was one year that I said that the Bengals and the Lions was going to be the Super Bowl. So just let me have this one. 10-7 for Carolina.
Bullshit. That's playoff records. You're having them in the playoffs?
Correct. This is going to be the team that shocks people. They've got an easy-ass schedule, man. They could do that. And if Tampa shits the bed, they lose Baker or something like that, because then they're left with Teddy Bridgewater, and I'm sorry, that's not going to cut it. Then the Falcons, Raheem Morris is going to hurt them, and they're going to be able to march all over the Saints. When the Saints come marching in, no, Panthers going to eat those fools alive. This team has the capability of going 5-1. I think they're going to tie with Tampa in the division, but Tampa's still going to edge them out. But I think this team is going to surprise people with the progression that they have. There was much brighter future for them last year, at the end of last year, and they've made enough moves to where I believe in this team. I believe in the Panthers right now. I might be one of the only people who believes in the Panthers, but I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt here, and they are free to change my mind at any time. They're likely to.
I want to know what you're drinking right now.
Nothing, but I can open a beer if you want me to. I've got one.
I mean, here's the thing: is that whatever you're doing, Mr. Pirate Drinking, please stop.
Oh, I am a pirate king. I am. Hurrah for the Pirate King. I'm in Pirates of Penzance, by the way, so it's apropos that I'm a Buccaneers fan and I'm about to be a swashbuckling pirate as well on the stage. So
yes, and also tune into Sean's drinking show on his other podcast.
Which is also called The Pirate Show. So in any case, can you tell my fandom? Let's move on to the West. And let's talk about...
Do we need to?
Yes. And let's start with your 49ers in the same vein.
I don't want to.
May I go first? Because I want you to hate... I don't know whether you're going to feel the same way. You know how I said there's one team that shocks people? And...
Yeah.
And ends up being way better than people think they are? Usually that means there's also one team that ends up being way worse than people think they are. And I am terrified, and I genuinely hope to be proven wrong, that this year it is going to be San Francisco. It is of my opinion that this is the year that Kyle Shanahan loses his grip on this team. It's been happening for some time, and I think that the faith is starting to be lost in him. It has been a rough offseason. There's been a lot of shedding going on, and with Christian McCaffrey just never being able to truly know whether he's going to be consistent, and George Kittle's not getting any younger, and I don't know, man. I'm worried. I'm worried. I think that there is a saving grace, that there is a possibility that two of the other teams in this division could also be bad. So I'm regrettably thinking that this is the year that the Niners end up having to press the reset button. I think the window definitively shuts, and I really feel bad about saying it. Give me 6-11.
The same record they had last year.
Yeah. Skyler, please tell me you have a more optimistic view of your team. Please, I want to be uplifted.
I do and I don't. So here's the thing. The 49ers, talent-wise, had to shed a lot of players because of salary cap, because we had to pay Brock Purdy. We're no longer on his rookie deal.
Right.
So now that we have to pay Brock Purdy, you had to get rid of a lot of talent. Particularly the defense was really hit hard. We lost several very, very good defensive players.
Important pieces.
Important pieces. I mean, here's the thing. Let me properly pull up the list of players that they lost in free agency in 2025, okay? Dre Greenlaw went to the Broncos. Tavarius Ward went to the Colts. Javon Hargrave went to the Vikings. Tuvunga went to the Broncos. We traded away Deebo Samuel. Yes, he wasn't what he once was, but he was gone. Jalen Moore's gone. Elijah Mitchell's gone. Josh Dobbs went to the Patriots. Whatever. We even had a thing where we got rid of Kyle Juszczyk and then had to bring him back because,
had to fill in the roster.
We were going to have trouble. Yeah, exactly. We got rid of Kyle Juszczyk so we could bring him back because players got all mad that he was gone. It's the same toxic thing that, this locker room is very different from the team that used to be.
Yeah.
It is difficult because this is a team that should be better than what they are, but their stars are all injured, older, whatever.
Well,
this is a team that
go ahead.
Has potential because they have a really easy schedule because of their record last year. They get the South, they get the Jaguars, they get to play against the Giants, they get the Panthers, they get the Titans and the Colts. This 49ers team could, and I say this, could have a winning record. This team could also be where they were, like you said, at 6-11. I don't know what this team is going to be, but I'm concerned about the fact that we are an aging roster that's just not getting better, and we're going to end up coming home and probably starting the season on a 0-2 run. And then we win a couple games against the Cardinals and Jaguars, and we think we're going to be good. Then we lose to the Rams, Bucks, and Falcons, and we call it a season.
Yeah, and it can go either way with this team. The thing that concerns me is that losing both of those Super Bowls to the Chiefs must have really hurt the morale, because that's when everybody started wanting to jump ship.
Well, it's not just that they wanted to jump ship. It was that the salary cap forced us to have to make these changes.
Right. Well, it's, but, you've got the Ayuk situation, too, and that was before Purdy was even involved in the conversation. And getting rid of Deebo Samuel.
Robert Sala's back to the defensive coordinator, and he got to rehaul that defense, but then their first-round pick got hurt, along with all their wide receivers. Juwan Jennings, we don't even know. He practiced for the first time today. and we expect him to be ready in 6 months, in 6 days after he's been hurt for the last 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
The injury list, the 49ers already have the most injuries in football, and we haven't even gotten to week 1.
Yeah.
Look, I will be on the optimistic side with the 49ers, and I will say that maybe, just maybe, they get to 9-8. But that is everything having to go right and still losing games because we just cannot outscore our problems. Do I think they're going to be the best team in this division? No. Do I think they're going to be the worst team in this division? No. Because there's a team that I think is going to regress because they were punching above their weight class last year. But my goodness, the 49ers have a hill to climb just to get to a winning record.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be something. And before we continue, we once again forgot to do the summary of the division. So for the South, I had Bucks 10-7, Panthers 10-7, Falcons 8-9, and Saints 3-14. And
right, I have Buccaneers at 10-6, 10-7, Falcons 9-8. I still can't believe you gave the Panthers a winning record. God damn it!
I told you it was hot.
3-14. I have the Panthers 3-14, and I should be madder at you than I already am. And the Saints, who cares what they have?
They were 4-13. They're going to be one game better.
I mean, here's the thing: is that the Saints and the Panthers, they could easily trade that win against each other and have the worst record in the football. It's just,
it's possible. It's possible. Now let's revert back and let's go to the Arizona Cardinals. Here's my thing about Arizona. Everybody is saying that Kyler Murray is a great quarterback. When?
Who's everybody?
When are we going to see it? You know what? I mean, it might be at this point where people have finally just given up on it. But there was so much hype around this dude. But then, everything just started to deteriorate. And now it's like, what are we even doing here? This team has not progressed enough. And I like James Conner. I do. I don't believe in Kyler Murray enough to think that Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to have some sort of breakout season, even though he probably should. But
Trey McBride is one of the best tight ends in football, just saying.
Yeah, I mean, they've got players with talent. And I don't hate Jonathan Gannon. I just think that this team is treading water. Like they always do. They're just treading water. Give me 7-10 for the Cards.
So last year they were 8-9, and you think they're going to go down one game?
Yeah. I think and again, it's going to be because there's other teams that are going to be able to take things, and they're going to be a team that loses games that they shouldn't lose.
That's fair.
Your analysis, sir.
The Cardinals are the team that I just don't like talking about because they're so boring. Please get us back to the Larry Fitzgerald days when I was having fun talking about them. I don't know. This is a team that on paper has good pieces, but they don't seem to be able to put it all together. And particularly on offense. They have a lot of really good players on offense. Defense has always been their weird spots because they have good players, but they don't get a chance to really shine.
They don't like hiring good defensive coordinators.
Yeah, that's true. I think with the Cardinals, they're a team that is in the middle ground, no man's land. They are not bad enough to get really people fired, but not good enough to really say positive things about them. I mean, the thing is that, this division, the NFC West, is the one that has the chance to make us all look like fools. I think the Cardinals could be good, but they also could be bad. And that's kind of the problem with them. They went 8-9 last season. I wouldn't be surprised if they go 7-10.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is one of those divisions where any of these 4 teams could win it, and it wouldn't shock me, and I also wouldn't be impressed.
Yeah, and simultaneously, all 4 of these teams could be quite mid. And, this could be the surprising race to the bottom instead of the South, is all I'm saying. But let's move on.
And the other thing, too, is that remember, like years ago, the NFC West used to be the division of death because
hottest.
You had 3 or 4 teams that, if in any other division, they would be the contending champion.
Yeah.
To see it go to this is sad.
Yeah, it's funny. It comes and goes with every division. I mean, there were years that the NFC East was just a complete dumpster. You know, it rotates. It's funny how it rotates. And right, and now let's move on to Los Angeles. I don't know what to make of this team. I feel like it's going to be Matthew Stafford's swan song year, which makes me think that they're going to be actually quite decent. But the thing is, with Sean McVay, it could go either direction. We have seen that from the year they won the Super Bowl to the year after, when they won the Super Bowl and then went, 4-13? 4-12? Was that the last year they did 16 games? I don't remember. But they were pretty rough that year. And I just don't know what to make of them. But that being said, this is a team that ends up on the right side of games that they look like underdogs in a lot of the time. And I think that plays to their advantage. They've got good tools. I forgot how old Cooper Kupp really was. So getting rid of him, I don't think was necessarily the worst thing in the world for this team. It's going to be a long shot that they're going to end up in a prominent position as far as Super Bowl contention. But they're still going to be pretty good. Give me 11-6 for LA.
The thing is that this is the team with the least amount of question marks because we know what they are. They're going to be a team that has good offense, okay defense, but they're going to win because of everybody else in this division. They're kind of the ones that are built somewhat competently. I'm not saying that the Rams are going to be world beaters, but they're going to be a team that does well. I agree with your assessment. 11-6 seems to be right. They went 10-7 last year, and they did. Was this the first year that they had a first-round draft pick?
In some time, yeah.
I mean, there's whole generations of the Rams not having a first-round draft pick.
Well,
so for them to be able to draft a first-round player, like, good for them.
Well, they sold a lot of it to get the Super Bowl team that ended up winning. You know, Tampa did the same thing when they went and got Tom and then hired absolutely everybody in earshot. You know? When they got into Dominican Sue and
they traded their pick to the Falcons. Never mind.
Yeah, but they didn't. But you know, the fact that they're still built pretty well, they've got a good defense in place. Sean McVay is still a good coach in my eyes. You know, we'll have to see how it translates this year. You know, because this is a team that, while I think they could play well, all it'll take is a few key injuries, and this team is gonna completely flip that score. You know. It could be a 6-11 team in a blink of an eye. It's that the weird thing about the Rams is that they're solid, but they're also fragile. So we'll have to see what happens with them. Now we move on to Seattle. And I'm assuming this is the team you meant when you said they're going to have a significant regression. I think they're also not going to be as good because now we've got Sam Darnold and Cooper Kupp under this new regime. They still have not built a defense. For some reason, Seattle always refuses to build a defense, and that will ultimately be what costs them. I will let you have the floor here once I give you that they're still gonna end up somehow in second place, but they're still gonna end up with a losing record. Give me 8-9 for Seattle.
Which is crazy when you said that they refused to build a defense, considering years ago they were the Legion of Boom, and they were one of the best defensive teams in football.
Yeah.
The Seahawks are the bane of my existence. They are the New Orleans Saints to you.
I understand.
That they are to me.
I understand.
Because this team was a fucking pain in the ass.
I can see that.
And I'm going to enjoy as they just have Sam Darnold, who is a downgraded version of Geno Smith.
Imagine saying that in 2025. That's amazing.
But I'm saying
it's true. It's just wild. It's just wild.
The Seahawks, to me, they're gonna win games, but they're not gonna win games impressively. They're gonna lose games, but they're not gonna lose games horribly. But they're gonna lose more than they win, just because this is a team that is not built better. It's just built weaker. This is a team that really, they're carried by one player, and that's JSN. Six wins, 11 losses. It's just, I think they take a major step back. I don't think they're going to be as good as they were last year, and I think they're going to fall back. If the 49ers are going to get to the playoffs, this is a team that they have to beat twice.
Yeah, it's going to be something. I mean, I could definitely see that being the case. I could definitely see that being the case for Seattle. To be completely fair to them, it could completely blow up. I mean, Sam Darnold, especially in those last couple of games that he was playing with Minnesota, was not looking too good.
And that was with one of the best wide receivers in the game, and Justin Jefferson covering him up. Now, JSN is very, very good, but I don't know if he's Justin Jefferson.
Well, and Cooper Kupp was very good, but that was also a long time ago that he had his moment in the sun.
By the way, Jackson Smith-Njigba, just so that you guys
Yes. Yeah, no, I got you. So, in summary, I have the Rams at 11-6, the Seahawks at 8-9, the Cardinals 7-10, and the Niners 6-11.
Here's the thing. Even though I said a bunch of records and numbers and things, this is the division I have no confidence in any of my predictions. Because, yes, I said the Rams are going to win it, but the Seahawks, maybe they don't regress as badly. Maybe Kyler Murray takes a step, or maybe the 49ers go back to prominence. I almost don't want to say my records just because I think they're... I mean, Sean, read them out to me again because I want you to tell me if they make sense to me or not.
So the Rams are 11-6, the Niners are 9-8, the Cardinals are 7-10, and the Seahawks are 6-11.
Right, but honestly, any of those four, you could rearrange them in any order. And you would agree with me, right?
I think they could be interchangeable at any given moment, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, too, we have to caution is that a lot of these things with all these predictions can and will change depending on injuries, promotions, trades, so on and so forth. If Micah Parsons is injured and out for most of the year or not as effective as he is, then we're taking back everything we said about the Packers.
Right. Yeah, you never know. You never know. You know, all it would take is Jordan Love to go down and any one of these major time quarterbacks to go down, and we're having a completely different situation. So let's talk about the NFC playoff picture as we've got them structured. I've wrote them both down. So for your bracket, you have, unless you have, who would take the 1 seed here, the Lions or the Eagles? Because they both have 14-3. Who would get it?
The thing is that the Lions play the Eagles, and that's probably the tiebreaker. And honestly, I think it's going to be the Eagles. I think they're just built different.
Yeah.
To feel afraid.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And yes, on God, as the kids say.
They're going to take the tiebreaker because I think they're going to win that game. It's going to be one of Detroit's only 3 losses, but I think the Eagles take that game, and they'll be the number 1 seed.
So the Eagles would be the 1 seed, the Lions the 2 seed, the Rams the 3 seed, the Bucks the 4 seed, which means that it would be Packers at Buccaneers at the first game of Super Wildcard Weekend, the Commanders against the Rams, because the Commanders would be the 6th seed, and then the Vikings against the Lions in round 1.
Yeah. And also, I'm very boring. I picked the 7 teams that went to the playoffs to go back to the playoffs. I had no changes.
Well, sometimes it be like that. And who do you have making it to the Super Bowl, sir?
See, this is the thing. It pains me because I don't want to like the Eagles, but they just have a good roster, and they're just built perfectly down to the nucleus, to the core, to the depth pieces. This team is sensationally built. And as much as I like the Lions or the Packers or even the Commanders, I just think the Eagles are going to be that team. I don't think they're going to be as dominant because I think people are going to figure it out. But, you know, the one play that has yet to be stopped in football is the tush push.
Well, except for once. Because Tampa face masked while they did it.
Speaking of jerking off, you're going to jerk off every single moment of that game last year, aren't you?
Well, hey, that wasn't last year's game. That was in the game that almost cost Sirianni his job back in when we beat the 2-seeded Eagles, or wherever we were positioned. No, I guess they were the 5 seed. When we beat the 5-seeded Eagles in the playoff to make it to the divisional, and then almost beat the Lions. But here's my playoff picture. I've got the Eagles as the 1 seed as well. Lions 2, Rams 3, Bucks 4. That's all the same. Packers 5, Commanders 6. And this put me in an interesting position because they would be the 10-7 Vikings or the 10-7 Panthers. And just because I'm putting the Panthers in. Now, having said that, they're going to lose to the Lions by a good chunk. But that's not here nor there. I think the Packers are going to beat the Bucks as well. But I do think that the Rams are going to surprise the Commanders. And that, in any case, who do I have making the Super Bowl? I can't disagree with any of your points, Sky. This team right now, it's until otherwise stated. And I think this is just the benefit of the doubt that the Super Bowl winning team has. But sometimes teams get dismantled and you can tell they're not going to be as good. But I just don't see that being the case for Philadelphia. I think the Eagles are making the Super Bowl again. I agree, Sky. I think this is Philadelphia's conference to lose. You said it perfectly at the beginning. Let's move on to the AFC. We start with...
Well, hold on. Let's look at the AFC overall.
Okay. What would you like to examine?
So, the thing is that now that the Chiefs have lost in the Super Bowl, this may inspire teams to try and beat them. And we have some new and fresh talent in this division and in this conference in general. I don't know what it's going to be like, but there is a chance that the Chiefs could lose.
Yes, I believe that to be true. The AFC, here's the thing though, I think that while there are some teams that might be willing to step up to beat the Chiefs, I don't think this division or this conference is as concretely packed as tightly as it used to be. I think there's going to be a number of teams in the AFC that underdeliver this year. And
no, the AFC definitely has more of a have and have not feel than the NFC does. There are a couple of really bad teams in the NFC, but they're kind of easy to identify. And we all know they're going to be bad, but there's a lot more good teams. That's why I said the Eagles are not going to win as handily as they did last season. The AFC, the divide is vast and
big.
Really, really
big
concentrated.
Gap. 38th parallel big. Yeah, demilitarized zone big. It's pretty wide. And let's get into this because I think genuinely I think there's less predictability, but at the same time there's more predictability with the AFC. Let's start with the East, and we'll start at the top. Let's go with the Bills. Probably the biggest sure thing of anything in this division.
They went 13-4 last season.
Yeah, here's the thing from watching many Bills games. My buddy Connor, whose wedding I'm going to in November, big time Bills fan. So anytime the Bills are on, and so is my mom, by the way. My mom is also a big Bills fan. So I've been subtly rooting for the Bills as my AFC team, hoping one day they'll finally be able to break the glass ceiling. It has been painful. It has been very painful. But that's what the Bills do. Every loss that they have is pain. It's not like the 12 wins are great, but the 5 losses are pain. And it makes it really hard to be a Bills fan. And I really do feel for this team. Having said that, there's nothing that tells me that they are in any threat whatsoever of losing this division. Give me 12-5 They're going to be one game worse, but that's really not saying much.
It just gets to a point, though, where, like, Josh Allen, where do you find the will to live?
I know. But hey, it's going to happen. It's going to happen sooner or later. This could be the year, Sky, to your point. This could be the year that it happens.
How long did we say that about Phillip Rivers?
I know, but Patrick Mahomes is not Tom Brady.
Thing is that this is whose career Josh Allen is basically in. Phillip Rivers was stuck behind Tom Brady his entire career, and it feels like Josh Allen is stuck behind Patrick Mahomes.
He can do it, though. I think he can do it. I really do. Come on. I'm holding out hope. I don't want you to be Phillip Rivers. I believe. I'm trying to believe.
Right. It just, this is the thing. I am concerned about it. I mean, he has to repeat his MVP season last year in order to have a shot. I think the Bills are going to be one of the better teams. And as you say, they have no, speaking of haves and have-nots, this division is in competition for one of the worst in football. The Bills are that team that's going to go 13-4, and they're just going to be that team.
I believe it. I fully believe it out of this team. I really do. Well, let's go next door to New England. What was their record last year, Skyler, and what record do you give them this year?
Well, they were 4-13 last year.
Yep, they were.
They were pee-pee poo-poo bad.
Yes.
But you know what?
What?
They did get some interesting talent. This is another year for Drake May to get bigger, stronger, and faster. The Patriots do have a way of building out players, and they do get Stephon Diggs. I mean, Trayvon Henderson's a great running back. I believe in the Patriots' ability to get 6 wins.
Well, you know, it's funny. For the same reasons, I gave them 7. Because they actually are going to be better. I truly believe that with Mike Vrabel there, it's going to be better. It's going to take a little time for it to develop, but I like the culture he's trying to instill. It's not going to be immediate, but I think Drake May is actually quite good. I think he's going to end up working out for them way better than Mac Jones did.
Well, that's the thing, though, is that there is a team that I am going to predict is going to be really, like, breaking through. It's not the Patriots, but they do have the potential to do that if everything breaks right.
They do. They're on the up. I think as a whole, that team is on the upswing. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens this year. Let's move on to Miami in what I suspect will be the last year of our esteemed Stoner head coach. As what record did they have last year, and what do you think they're going to have this year, Sky?
So they were 8-9 last year. And honestly, this is a team in the Dolphins who are perpetually in a rut. They cannot win games in the cold. They cannot. This is a soft team. Like, this is a sport that it requires toughness and physicality and men being men and all that other stuff. You know, the garbage things that we've been all told about.
Yes, masculinity.
But those cranky old men were kind of right, because the Dolphins are really kind of soft and they just don't have it. 7 wins is all I can see with this team, and that's being nice to them. I think they take a step back, and I do think Greer goes. As much as I like him, and, you know, his brother is the head coach of the general manager of the Sharks, and I like them, but I don't see it in Miami.
Mike McDaniel is about to puff his way out, I think. But here's the funny thing about Miami. With a handful of exceptions, like that 11-6 season, for the past 20 years, there has been, and that one exception where they won 1-15. But there's few things as consistent as the 8-8 or 8-9 Miami Dolphins. This team is glued to 8 wins. I do this because I dated a girl whose dad was a Dolphins fan, so I tried to pay attention for a little bit. It's rough. This team is perpetually in purgatory. And I think that, and we make jokes about the Steelers going 9-8 all the time. It's the Dolphins are on the other side of that coin. They are on the always 8-9 stat, and that is where they will remain. And until proven otherwise, they will win games that they should, and they will lose games that they shouldn't. Please do not kill your quarterback. That is the only thing I ask from Miami. Do not kill your quarterback.
And please, Tyreek Hill, don't have another baby.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill, just stay out of the media altogether. Now, the New York Jets. What was their record last year, Sky?
I believe they had 5 wins.
Last year was an absolute disaster. There's no other way you can spin it. It was the disaster of all disasters. These last 2 years, Aaron Rodgers coming to New York, a waste of time. Robert Saleh, not a good head coach. Then the owner proving to be making a run for the worst owner in football, giving Jerry Jones a run for his money by firing the coach 4 weeks in, replacing him with the defensive coordinator who then got completely overwhelmed. And then didn't want to play people because his kid said he didn't have a good enough Madden rating to sign the guy. That was what Woody Johnson was doing. This, you want to talk about dysfunctional organizations from the very top. It does not get much worse. Save for Jerrytown, it doesn't get much worse than the New York Jets. Having said that, they made a lot of good moves this offseason. I like the hire of Aaron Glenn. I like what he wants to do with the team. They've gotten some weapons. They had a pretty decent draft. They've got Justin Fields, and that is certainly a quarterback. And that's really the ultimate X factor of this team. And no matter how much promising shit they do, at the end of the day, it's the Jets. And so there's an old expression. This is the third year we've done this, Guy. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I gave this team double-digit wins 2 years in a row. Not again, I say. 6-11. Until you can do better than that, that will always be the record that I give you.
You are asking a lot. You are asking a lot of this team.
I'm sure you're right.
6 wins.
I'm sure you're right. This could be a team that picks first in the draft this year. Very possible.
You have a brand new head coach who has never been a head coach before in this league, and he's promising. He is very promising, but I just don't have the confidence. This roster, this group of players, your quarterbacks are Justin Fields and Tyrod Taylor.
I mean, they've got some talent. They just need discipline. I just hope that I hope Aaron Glenn can give it to them. I'm not convinced yet.
You are asking a lot of Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall to carry this team.
And Sauce Gardner to step up and not have a cock-a-doodoo season like he did last year.
Right, and also Quentin Williams is a great defensive lineman.
He is. They've got talent. That's the problem. They just don't have structure.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate problem with the Jets. They don't have structure. It's a fundamentally broken franchise. And they've made the steps to go in the right direction, but it's still the Jets.
Which is why I predict they're going 4-13.
That is incredibly possible. So, for the East, I have the Bills at 12-5, the Dolphins 8-9, the Pats 7-10, and the Jets 6-11.
I got the Bills 13-4, Miami 7-10, Patriots 6-11, and the Jets 4-13.
Yeah, I think those are both very reasonably asked for. Now we get to one of the most interesting divisions in the league. Well, at least 3/4 of it. The NFC North. Let's start.
No, all 4 teams are interesting. Let's be clear. This is the most interesting division in football. This is also the most soap opera division in football.
Yes, and speaking of soap operas, let's begin with Pittsburgh. The Pittsburgh Steelers have Aaron Rodgers, and that's going to go so well for them, I'm sure. What do you think this team's gonna do, Sky?
Despite all the things that are going on with Aaron Rodgers, he is still the best quarterback they've had since Ben Roethlisberger retired. And that is saying a lot because, oh boy, this team. I feel bad for my old therapist who used to be a Steelers fan. I wonder how he's doing. Honestly, I'm concerned for his mental health.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
My old therapist is going to need a therapist. This team is just perpetually weird. Having said that, they always get winning records under Mike Tomlin, and that's not going to change. 9-8.
Yep. I only have 2 words to say about this. 9-8, baby. It does not. They have proven demonstratively since Ben Roethlisberger left. It does not matter who you put under center. It does not matter who you've got on that defense. There are few constants in life like 9-8 Pittsburgh Steelers right now. It's where they are. It's where they will stay. And the real question is, will Aaron Rodgers be responsible for those wins? Only time will tell. But now, we move on to the Cleveland Browns. Now, man, the good news here is that we don't have to talk about one of the quarterbacks of the 50 that they have. This team, you could give them a map to the fountain of youth and the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, and they would still find a way to end up just back in Cleveland. This team is just not good, and they lost Nick Chubb, and they just don't have the talent. Their number one guy, I love the guy dearly, is Joe Flacco, and it's just, what are we doing here? But you know what? Here's the thing. I want to be sad, but this is just desserts. You deserve this, Cleveland, and you know why, because you know what you did. You broke the bank on quarterback contracts forever for somebody who was not worth it, who gave you absolutely nothing in return, and now you are handicapped by that contract for at least another year because you couldn't think to do better. This is maybe the most inept franchise in the league, giving a run of the money to Woody Johnson and Jerry Jones. 5-12 for the Browns. And that is generous.
The thing is that this team, Haslam, Harrelson, and there's another one who I'm thinking of in the great state of Florida. The AFC has a lot of really bad owners.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the problem, is that you can tell which teams are the bad teams in the NFL based on which ones have shitty owners.
Yeah.
Why would you choose to draft Dylan Gabriel, who himself is a project quarterback, and then draft the ultimate headache in Shedeur Sanders?
Yeah, I don't give a shit about him on this team.
I'm expecting them to hire his brother any second now.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. And they belong in Cleveland. Let's be real. They belong in Cleveland. That is the perfect place to put
Cleveland
those two.
Cleveland is not the worst city ever. It's a nice place to go to. It's not that bad.
I'm sure. I've been to Cleveland. I've been to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Had a great time. I'm not knocking the city itself, but this franchise specifically. There's a reason it's brown.
Yeah, fuck you, Deshaun Watson.
Yep. Yeah. He ruined a lot of things in the
5-12.
NFL. He ruined a lot of shit.
5-12.
All right. Well, that brings us to the Ravens.
Somehow the least dramatic team in this division.
And that's given the Justin Tucker bullshit. So
exactly.
And that's including that. But that is ultimately a thing of concern of mine. Because a good kicker can make or break a team. And I worry that the Ravens might drop a little bit because of that. I don't think they will. I think Lamar Jackson is still Lamar Jackson, and so long as he's playing 17 games, that's not gonna mean much. But at the same time, this is a team that is, to my knowledge, I don't think they're really in any danger of losing their spot either. It's their division to lose. And they still have Derrick Henry, and they still have all of their, I think Mark Andrews is still there. He's there.
I mean, his health is going to be a question.
His health is in question, but, I think that's the ultimate question with the Ravens. Will they be healthy enough come the playoffs to pose as a viable threat to anyone in them? Because I thought that they got close. They got close to beating the Chiefs in the AFC Championship last year. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that they could end up in that position, the same position this year. If the breeze catches the right way for the Ravens, I could see them soaring. Give me 12-5 for Baltimore.
That was their record last year, and then easily I could see them go just a little bit better at 13-4.
Yeah, I think that's very true. And thank you, Ravens, for being the most drama-free. Here comes Cincinnati.
And that's the thing, is that, again, this division is so goddamn terrible.
God.
At least the Ravens got rid of their problem. Everybody else added theirs.
The Bengals, man. The Bengals. At least they signed Trey Hendrickson, but, man, did they have to pull the amount of teeth.
Shamar Stewart.
Yeah, congrats to them, but, man, their whole franchise is tied up in 4 players. How the hell are they going to pay guys next year? It feels like they're going all or nothing, but they didn't really build anything. They just kept people. And their record last year wasn't spectacular either.
No, but the thing is that, as long as Joe Burrow keeps the confidence, he's one of the best football players in football. It's just...
Will he stay on the field? Will he stay on the field is another question. He is always hurting from something else. We're going through his entire body of injuries right now. It's already got both ankles, an ACL, his hand. God, what else? There was something else. I'm forgetting what else it was. His soul. Yeah, that's definitely true. And they still have a Swiss cheese offensive line. So, where do you put this team? And what did they have last year?
Last year, they were 9-8. You'll notice with the Steelers going 10-7 last year and me saying that they're going to go 9-8, I think them and the Bengals are going to flip-flop. I think the Bengals do go 10-7, but this is not like a confident one because they could easily lose more games or they could win more games.
Yeah.
It's just where they are.
Well, I hope they get that far. I genuinely do. I don't have as much of the confidence. I think they're going to end up at 9-8. They're going to end up tied with the Steelers. And we'll talk about who gets the tiebreaker a little bit later, because that will matter. But I guess we'll talk about it now because we got to do the summary. I think the Steelers get it. So my AFC North is the Ravens 12-5, the Steelers 9-8, the Bengals 9-8, and the Browns 5-12.
I have the Ravens 13-4, the Bengals 10-7, the Steelers 9-8, and the Browns 5-12.
All right. And so
again, this division it's a great division.
Drama division, man. Holy hell. So then we move on to the South. And this division has the potential to be the absolute worst in football. Let's start with the Jaguars. I'm going to admit I have heavy bias. Because fuck you, Liam Cohen. Leaving us on red.
No. Nope. Who else?
No, I'm getting to him. But before we get to him, all the shady shit, Liam Cohen, you did not have to do that to Tampa Bay. It was a low blow, and it was unnecessary, and I hope, beyond all hope, that your entire first season is a big old flippity flop, and it goes absolutely terribly, and Trevor Lawrence proves to be the absolutely overrated mid player that I always knew him to be back when they overhyped him to be the number 1 pick in the draft because they liked his hair. Let's be real, it was because of the hair. And I think this team is going to be bad. Calvin Ridley is cooked. He's old. He is not the player he once was. I really don't think that they're going to end up doing as well. They don't really have a defense that I think is going to make much of a difference in the long run. Give me 4-13, and also fuck their owner, Tony Khan, just because. Go ahead, Sky.
Their record was 4-13 last year. I feel very sad for Travis Hunter because now his career is going to be ruined by going to Jacksonville.
Yeah, it's kind of a rookie Alcatraz in the same way that Cleveland is.
Listen, Travis Hunter, it may be one of the most exciting players in the history of football with it's all done. He is a guy who is amazing. This is a guy whose college highlights. There was a reason why Colorado was fun last year. It's because of him. It's not because of the Sanders. Fuck them. All the Sanders. This was the dude that you build a franchise around.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how they do. I know. Yeah.
This guy thinks he's the best. He is God's gift to earth. He thinks he is the best of. Jesus Christ.
I know.
Listen, the thing is that Deion Sanders, maybe this is his modern day equivalent as Travis Hunter, a guy who can play both offense and defense. I don't know. I just look at this team and I think dysfunction is all they are. They are going to go 3-14, and I'm going to enjoy every second of it. And that shitty stadium that you have that has no even working TVs, or the tax fraud, or your owner being a complete idiot, your coach being an idiot, your GM being an idiot. Fuck you, Jacksonville.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, hold on a second, Sean. Because I have even more shit to give you.
Oh, and what is that?
It's in the Indianapolis Colts because they are the horse shit of this division.
Oh, man. That's a good pun. That's a good pun. There's a lot of horses and a lot of shit going on in the Colts.
And the thing is that I am officially giving them my worst record in football. They're going 2 wins and 15 losses.
I think that's really possible. I really do.
Because
I really
look who their hell of a quarterback is. It is Daniel Jones.
Look, I feel for the Colts because they did just lose Jim Irsay, and you know.
No, I don't. He was a crazy weirdo.
Yeah, be that as it may, he meant a lot to the Colts, and so I do feel bad because they're kind of going through a moment of grieving, and it's not going to be helped by this season. Oh dear, I also have them.
They used to have Peyton Manning, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, to Andrew Luck, who was going to be one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time until they ruined it. And now they have Daniel Jones. The Anthony Richardson experiment is over. He is a bust. Clear bust. They have to start Daniel Jones because they think he can be the one to lead them to glory. No, the hell he cannot.
I don't even think they believe that Daniel Jones is going to lead them to glory. I think that they just believe that he is the best quarterback they have. I gave them 3. It's going to be rough in Indianapolis. It's going to be real rough for the Colts this year. And you hate to see it. You hate to see it. Then we move on to the Titans. I'm fascinated by this team. I don't know enough about the coach to be able to analyze if he's any good. My instinct is that he's not. But I also believe that Cam Ward could potentially do some things with this Titans team because there is some talent on it. I don't know if it's going to translate to anything of substance for the Titans, but just by who is in this division, they're still going to end up in second place with a 6-11 record.
See, that's the thing, is that is a realistic possibility.
I'm sorry, Tennessee. I want to feel better about that, but we just don't know what Cam Ward's going to be yet.
Well, that's the thing, is that this team is really weird. I don't know what to think of it. There is the time to be bold, and this is not that time to be bold with a rookie quarterback that hasn't played before.
No.
7 wins is generous. But here's the thing, that this division is so bad, and they have such a paper schedule, they'll get the 7
It's possible.
wins easily.
It's definitely possible. Yeah, I don't disagree. That's a fair assessment. And then we move on to the clearly winning the division Houston Texans. This team has got a lot of talent on it, man. You know, they had some bumps in the road last year, but I still think that they're in the position that Tampa's kind of in. You know, they've got a hell of a cupcake team, and actually I think they've got more of a cupcake division than the South, or the AFC East for that matter. This is going to be probably just for the fact that they've got 6 wins almost given to them. I'm giving them 11-6. And that doesn't mean that they're going to be God's gift to football, but I think that they're going to stabilize themselves after the sophomore slump year that CJ Stroud had.
I think Stroud needed to be punched in the mouth in order to be reminded that, hey, just because you are good doesn't mean that you are the best. I think he's going to get better. This team around him is really good. And this is the Texans' time to shine, because this division is ass.
Bad.
12-5. They got wins, but to be honest, it's because of where they're playing.
Yeah, I have the feeling that the 6 losses I've got in, or the 5 losses you have in, are going to be against good teams. You know, they're going to be against teams that they would probably play in the playoffs. So it's still going to be an uphill battle for Houston. But that doesn't mean that they're not going to be fun to watch. And I'm happy that Houston is actually playing well. I think that football is better with the Texans involved in the equation. At least under this administration. You know, I like D'Amico Ryans a lot.
They're a fun, exciting young team. That's what we want from them.
Yeah, they're very likable, I think. So, in summary, I have the Texans at 11-6, the Titans 5 games behind them at 6-11, the Jaguars 4-13, and the Colts 3-14.
I have the Texans 12-5, the Titans 5 games behind them at 7-10, the Jaguars 3-14, and the Colts 2-15. And fuck you, Tony Khan.
I agree. And now we move on to the West. This was an intriguing one for me, because I think all 4 of these teams have the potential to be good. One of them is the Kansas City Chiefs. And I know how everybody felt about that loss that they had at the Super Bowl. That is definitely a confidence-shaking loss. But I will say this as well. We've been saying it for years. Until somebody beats the Chiefs, they own the AFC. Give me the Chiefs, 14-3. I don't care what the conjecture is. They still find a way to win games. And as long as Taylor Swift is in that pocket and in that booth, they're winning games, whether you like it or not. Skyler?
The thing is, the Chiefs, they got their players back healthy, like Xavier Worthy. They drafted a offensive tackle in Josh Simmons, who will hopefully help stabilize the Chiefs' offensive line, because that was their one weakness, was that their line was not great, so Mahomes had to scramble. Yes, Travis Kelce is not what he once was. I think this is the swan song year for him. I think he retires after this to be the doting husband for Mrs. Swift. And yes, she's going to keep her last name. You don't change Swift.
He's going to be Mr. Swift. It's going to be Travis Swift.
And also keep in mind that men and women, just because they get married, they don't have to change their last names if they don't want to.
I know quite a number of married couples that don't do that. That's actually quite common in Connecticut, weirdly enough.
Yeah, again, it's one of those things where like, yeah, you can keep your last name. You don't have to change it. My God.
Yeah.
But what a crazy concept. But anyways, the Chiefs, yes, they had down years for Mahomes and Kelsey, but they got better.
Yeah.
They got their offensive linemen. They got some free agents.
Yeah.
This team that we were bemoaning and hoping that they would lose, and they still won 15 games last year, looking almost unbeatable at points.
Yep.
I have no doubt. They're winning the AFC this year. They're getting that bye.
no.
They're getting all those wins. I don't know if it's going to be as strongly as it was in the past because they do have some competition, but 14-3, that gets them the conference.
I don't disagree with you, Sky. I don't in the slightest. Now let's move on to Denver. Denver's an interesting one to me because Bo Nix had a hell of a year, and I don't like Sean Payton at all, but I have to give the man credit. Once he was off the team I hated, I could look at him a little bit more analytically. And as a result, I have to say that they're doing some good things in Denver. There's a lot to be happy about. And they're well coached. They've got a young team. Bo Nix is looking to be that guy. And I think he still can be that guy. It is going to be a question with him. Will it be a sophomore slump? Now that the pressure's on, even more than now that there's expectations on you, can you deliver? I don't see this team doing any worse than they did last year, but I also don't really see them doing much better than they did last year. It's a tough division. I'm going to give them 10-7.
Think about all those years that John Elway drafted or traded for tall white quarterbacks to play, and finally the year he leaves, they finally get one.
They get
Bo Nix.
You know, sometimes it's just that change of pace, man. Sometimes that's all it takes.
And that's probably what New Orleans is hoping, is that because Bo Nix was the super senior of last year, that Tyler Shough is that guy. I don't know if he is, but it'll be fun to watch. But going back to Bo Nix, this is a guy who is really interesting in the sense that, like, people say he's old, and yes, he was in college for a long time, but I mean, he's only 25. He still has time to develop and get better. He's not ancient by any means. The Broncos have a good support around him, and they have a pretty solid team. It's just whether or not it's good enough for them in the playoffs. But at least regular season wise, they should. I say this with some hesitancy, but they should get somewhere. Maybe they're not like the super team, but they definitely have a chance. It's just what happens when they get into the postseason, because when they get into the postseason, that's when they have to play the good teams. And last year against the Bills, they were not good.
No.
But I still think they get there with the 11-6 record that they probably earn.
11-6. I think that's fair. I think that is definitely fair. Now let's move on to the Chargers. Now, hopefully, the dirty bubble will not kidnap Jim Harbaugh so they'll actually have a chance in the playoffs. But I must admit, I do like the way that this team looks. My concern is that this is do or die time for Justin Herbert. You either got to be that guy or not be that guy, which means you got to win a playoff game at least. And I think this team is very good. I like Ladd McConkey. I like a lot of the team that they've got assembled here. I think it's going to be difficult. It's to some degree because they do have to play, teams from the South, and they've got, that whole division is going to be kind of rough, and a lot of those games can go either way. But right now, I don't expect the Chargers to be worse than they were. It's just going to be a matter of what can they do come the playoffs. Because it's kind of the same deal. They made the playoffs look impressive, and then they played that playoff game, and oof. Roblox oof. Give me 12-5 for the Chargers, though. Having said all of that, they're still a pretty damn good team.
Isn't it kind of like a thing where, like, yeah, this team looks great, and then they lose in the playoffs.
It's kind of what the AFC is all about. Bills do it.
I mean,
Ravens
that's
do
what
it.
happens when you have a conference of have and have-nots. You beat up
Yeah.
all the trash cans, and then by the time you get to the playoffs,
Yeah.
and you have to play good if you're not one of the established teams.
Yeah.
left.
Yeah, man, how true that is.
But yeah, baby brother's going to get it to the playoffs and then get beat up again. 12-5, but still, no confidence.
Yeah, and you know, maybe let's see. Prove us wrong. Prove us wrong, Justin Herbert, because you kind of have to at this point. Otherwise, they're going to be asking to get rid of you. And even though he just signed that big contract, I know there's pressure on him. I know there is.
No, that's the thing, is that Justin Herbert, again, there are a lot of quarterbacks, again, in the shadow of Patrick Mahomes who should be Super Bowl champions, or at least higher regarded than they actually are. Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Herbert's one of those. And unfortunately for him, he's directly in the shadow because he has to play him 2 times every single season.
Yeah. And a lot of the times the Chargers get one win off the Chiefs. A lot of times they do. And so, you know.
Well, that's the visual thing of football where, like, all the rivals, no matter if they're good or bad, they seem to always go 1-1.
There's always a chance in a division game. That's why I love division games. Now, let's move on to the Raiders, or also known as 2 years ago Seattle Seahawks. Well, here's the thing. They've got some talent on this team, man. But leave Geno Smith out of it. They got Ashton Genty. They've got Brock Bowers. They've got Max Crosby, who, yes, he's getting older, but he's still pretty freaking good. They've got a coach that is at least stable in Pete Carroll. And Geno Smith, who liked working under Pete. There's a lot of familiarity there. The Raiders have done a lot of things right. But they play in a division where it will not make a difference. Give me 8-9 for Las Vegas, but I think it's going to end overall on good vibes. Like, they've made the right steps forward. And I think there's going to be a lot of good things that are going to come to Vegas in the next couple of years if they can capitalize on the momentum that they kind of build this year, even though they don't get a winning season.
I still think the Raiders are going to struggle because this is a tough division to play in. It's probably the toughest division in the AFC, which there's not much competition, but it is what it is. It's just a thing where the Raiders, they're the proverbial trash can that's going to get kicked around by these teams. 6-11 is their probably peak, and that's with a thing or two going right.
Damn, that's pretty rough. That is pretty rough. Now I've got to ask you a question, sir. Because now we are getting to the playoff. Well, first of all, to summarize the West, I've got the Chiefs at 14-3, the Chargers at 12-5, the Broncos at 10-7, and the Raiders 8-9.
Right, I have Chiefs 14-3, Chargers 12-5, Broncos 11-6, and the Raiders 6-11.
Which means now we get into the playoff picture, and your 1 seed is the Chiefs. Between the Bills and the Ravens, who gets the 2 seed?
Does it matter?
Yes.
Because they're still going to lose to the Chiefs.
I know.
Oh, wait, am I spoiling things?
I know. But I'd like to at least list it out anyway.
I probably have the Bills as the team because they're in a weaker division, so they'll probably put up more points and win the tiebreaker.
Okay. That works for me. And then we have the Texans at... So we have the Ravens at 3, the Texans at 4. We've got the Chargers at 5. We've got the Broncos at 6. And then we've got the Bengals at 7 with 10-7.
Yeah, so the thing is that with the Chiefs having that bye, we get Buffalo and Cincinnati, which would be a fun playoff game.
And that one could be an upset win for the Bengals. If the Bengals are in the playoff, if the Bengals are in the playoffs, they've got a chance. That's the thing about that team. They've got a chance. It's just getting there for them. That's the hard part.
Right. Yeah, Baltimore and Denver, and then you got Los Angeles and Houston. Oh my God. I put Houston and Los Angeles against each other again. I don't want that to happen to Justin Herbert. That's a game where I don't want either team to lose.
I know, but they gotta. But they got, well, I mean, but again, like you said, Sky, will it matter?
Will it matter? The thing is, when predicting the AFC, I'm going to be boring. We're getting a rematch in the Super Bowl. It's going to be the Chiefs.
Yeah, I really don't want that to be the case. I looked at my set, which, by the way, is the same set as last year. So we're getting Chiefs. I have the Ravens getting the 2 seed, actually. Because I think Lamar Jackson's going to have a better season than Josh Allen. I've got the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Bills at 3, the Texans at 4, the Chargers at 5, the Broncos at 6, and at 9 and 8, 9 and 8, baby. Aaron Rodgers is making the playoffs as the Steelers, as the 7th seed. Just like last year, all the same matchups. However, just to appease the gods and to hold out hope that things are in fact different, and this year will be bad for Patrick Mahomes because he'll be so shook from losing as badly as he did, I am going to optimistically and beg the football gods, make this be the year for Josh Allen. Let this be the year he does it. He doesn't even need to win the Super Bowl. Just get him to the Super Bowl. Give me the Bills. Give me the Bills to beat the Chiefs in the AFC Championship and make it. Please, please let it happen this year. I am begging the football gods, or whoever the owners are, depending on what philosophy you take. But I will say this. I still think this is the Eagles Super Bowl. It's Bills-Eagles for me in it, but I think the Eagles are going to win it again. I think this team is incredibly good, and I just don't see them slowing down, Sky.
Is it a good thing?
I don't know. I don't know. Honestly. What do you think?
I mean, Philadelphia is the overlords now.
Well,
we replaced one dynasty with possibly another one.
Well, I would like more choices. I would like more choices, NFL, so that's all I'm going to ask for you, is give us more choices. Who is your pick to win? Is it also the Eagles?
The thing is that I think it's going to be the Eagles because they just have the better built defense that can handle Mahomes and his offense. There's no other defense in the league that is close enough to be able to do what needs to be done except them.
Yeah. It's, man, I wish that this could be less boring, but man, this is what the NFL has kind of come to. And this is, I hope that this season and this year will be different. I hope to see some surprises. Let's hope, Skyler, that it's Bengals-Panthers. That both 7 seeds make it. And we're all just shocked.
No. What we really want is 49ers-Buffalo.
Well, maybe that's what you want. I've always been an advocate of Bills-Bucks myself. But I will also abdicate that because we did just win one recently. But that doesn't mean that I don't want the Bucks to make the Super Bowl. But folks, you are going to have to see what happens as we will maybe do storyline shorts. And by storyline, I mean recaps like we've done in the previous years. So stay tuned for maybe us doing stuff. Skyler, it has been fun predicting with you, my friend.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And now get the fuck out of here, you people. We love you, though. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Get the fuck out of here.